Good afternoon, student. How are you? I am Renuka Vedya. Today we will continue our next topic of subject Java. In yesterday's topic, we clear subbit of exception handling. We use catch block and try block. Also, we seen some methods of print exception. Okay. Today we will continue next block of Java exception is a Java finally block. Okay. Today we will see finally blocks, the syntax of finally blocks, why we use finally block, then examples or some cases when we use finally, then flowchart of this finally block and use of this finally blocks. Okay, let's continue. We already know that we use try. Why we use try? We use try to write the risky code. Okay. Why we use catch? We use catch because to throw exception. Am I right now? Why we do catch? To throw the exception. Now we will see next block finally. Okay. In first lecture of exception handling, we see there is a 5 keywords of exception handling. Okay. One of from 5 is a finally keyword. Finally blocks we use to clean up the code. Java finally block is block used to execute the important code, such as closing the connection, then releasing the memory, releasing resources, releasing log file, etc. Java finally block is always executed within the whether the exception is handled or not. Therefore, it contains all necessary statements that need to be printed regarding the exception occur or not. Means what? It is we can't say it is optional. If exception occur or not, finally always print. Means the code which is written in finally, it's always executed. We can write this finally block after try block, or we can also write using try after try catch finally. But only finally you can't write. If there is a try, then and only then you can write the finally. Without try, you can't write finally block. If there is a try catch finally, then this is okay. If there is a try and finally, then also it is okay. But only write the finally, then it is not okay. Okay, means what? Only you should write finally blocks with try or with try catch block. Okay, the finally blocks follows the try catch blocks. The next, why we use Java finally block? We already know that why we use try blocks, why we use catch blocks. Okay, we use try for write some risky code. If we feel that if there is error can come in that blocks or that code, at that time we can place that code in try block. And if we want, whenever we want to need display some error message or some exception message, at that time we use catch block. Okay, and when we want to write some cleanup code, for example, you open the file in try block, you write, suppose in try you write, or open the file open. Okay, if there is exception, then this block this code will cursor will go in catch block. Okay, suppose in try block you open the file. If you open the file, then at the end of you should close that file. You should need to release that all resources. Am I right ना? अगर आपने फाइल ओपन की है तो आपको वो फाइल बंद भी करनी पड़ेगी. उसके जो कुछ रिसोर्सेस है वो आपको रिलीज भी करने पड़ेंगे. Then that code you should write in finally block. Means where we use to clean up code. Write the cleanup code and we use the finally block. Is it only for cleanup code? No. Also you can use that finally block when regarding some database connections. When you maintain the connection with database, at the end you should डिसकंटिन्यू मीन्स डेटाबेस का कंटिन्यू कनेक्शन आपको रिलीज करना है. एट दैट टाइम दिस डेटाबेस क्लोजिंग कोड शुड राइट इन फाइनली ब्लॉक. ऑल्सो सम मेमोरी रिलीज कोड्स आर देयर. You allocate some memory at that time. After use some variables or after use some code, you should write to code for memory release. You should write that code in finally blocks. In third contents, you should write log release code. Log release code in finally blocks. The important statement to be printed can place in the finally blocks. If you want to print any important message or important statement, at that time you should write that statement in finally. Why? Because by default finally print if there is an error occur or not. एरर आया तो भी फाइनली वर्क होगा, एरर नहीं आया तो भी फाइनली वर्क होगा. दैट्स वाई द इम्पोर्टेंट स्टेटमेंट यू शुड राइट इनटू फाइनली ब्लॉक. ओके, द फ्लो चार्ट ऑफ फाइनली. Just we discuss that if error occur, then also finally execute. If error not occur, means exception handle or without exception handle, in both case the finally execute. Suppose program code is there. If exception is there, if no exception, then it goes to finally and print that statement. If exception is there, then it use catch block. If exception in handled by try, then it's print. If exception not handled by catch, then also print. If handled by catch, it also print. Means what? Code exception handle हो या ना हो, finally should print always. This is a syntax of finally block. First try is compulsory. Only after try you should use finally. Without try you cannot use finally. This is optional. Catch is optional. If you want, then use. If you don't want, then you can't use that catch. Only you can use try and finally, or you can use the try catch finally. Okay, but it's good to use catch. Why? Because catch handle the exception. We'll get the exception message. In yesterday's lecture we seen how to print that exception. E dot. Okay, only description, only message, only trace line. Okay, that's why we should use that catch block also for good practice. Okay, try, catch and finally. This is the syntax of finally block. Why we use finally? Just we seen in previous slides, finally blocks in Java can be used to put up the cleanup code, such as the closing file, closing connections, then releasing log files, memory release code, memory resources release code. The important statement to be print can be placed in the finally blocks. Important statement we can place in finally blocks. Okay, this all about the syntax and use of finally blocks and how to write that finally clause. Okay, there are two cases occurs in finally blocks: when exception occurs and when exception does not occurs. There are two cases. In the two cases, finally blocks occurs. Execute. We will see first case and after that we will see second case. When first case, when exception occurs, we will discuss same example. Here we declare one class. In public static void main, we use some try and catch block. Okay, in try block, we divide 25 divided by 0. We know that error will come because arithmetic exception is there. 0 cannot be divided, any number cannot be divided by 0. We know that there is arithmetic exception. Okay, we will see that code. Okay, here create exception demo 3. Here we created one package exception demo. In that I created one class exp final. Okay, I want public static void main method. In that, just here I created that file. I will copy paste that file. See, rather than wasting time, here I printed that code. What I write? Under the package of exception demo 3, I created one class. In that public static void main, in try 3 blocks are there: try, then catch, and finally. Okay, in try catch, what we see, exception occurs. Okay, क्या देख रहे हैं हम? Exception occurs. Okay. Then we should write here 0. Okay, we know that 25 is not divisible by 0, or any number cannot be divided by 0. The exception occurs. And finally blocks, I write one message: finally blocks is always execute. Okay, and the rest of code is here. We will execute that code. See, finally this code is execute. Finally का जो कोड है वो एग्जीक्यूट हो गया है. यहाँ एरर आया था, एक्सेप्शन हैंडल हुआ है, तो वो पहले क्या, कर्सर कहाँ गया? ट्राई में गया. ट्राई में एक्सेप्शन आ गया, एक्सेप्शन फिर कैच में आके उसने एक मैसेज डिस्प्ले कर दिया. आफ्टर दैट द फाइनली ब्लॉक एग्जीक्यूट. फाइनली ब्लॉक इज ऑलवेज एग्जीक्यूट. ओके, दिस इज अ केस 1. What we seen? Here we seen try, catch, and finally blocks. When blocks error occurs in try blocks, then catch blocks displays the exception, and finally blocks execute after that. In second cases, when exception does not occur. When exception does not occur, here see in this one class 25 divided by 5. Here 25 divided by 5. Here is it okay? ये ओके, यहाँ पे एक्सेप्शन नहीं आएगा. ओके, देन फाइनली एक्सेप्शन नहीं आया तो फाइनली ब्लॉक एग्जीक्यूट होगा या नहीं होगा? Finally blocks always execute. Only catch will not execute here. If there is no exception, तो exception display नहीं होगा यहाँ पे. Okay, we will see. Same in that example, we will change here. Suppose this is divided by 5. Okay, save this and execute this. See the output. First try block execute. After that directly cursor goes to finally blocks and rest of the code. एक्सेप्शन में वो कैच में नहीं जाएगा, ट्राई से डायरेक्टली वो जाएगा फाइनल में. ओके, दिस ऑल अबाउट second case. What we seen in that exception? We seen in that exception that why we use finally blocks. We use finally blocks for clean up the code, regarding which the cleanup regarding memory release, resources release, log release, then database connection disconnection, then syntax and flowcharts of finally blocks. Okay, in that we seen two cases when exception occurs and when exception does not occur, and both cases the finally block should execute. Thank you.